I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm here to make you do better. I'm not interested in your time. I need your focus. I don't care what else is going on in your life. For the next 90 minutes that we're together, it's us.
Tim Grover is the man behind the world's most relentless champions. From NBA icons to NFL, MLB, and Olympic athletes. He's a New York Times best-selling author, featured in ESPN or Netflix's The Last Dance, and a global speaker teaching leaders and performers how to push past limits and win at the highest level.
In order to become the better version of yourself, you literally have to kill off your original version. You let go of good to ascertain something great. Everything that we have on, the diamonds, the watches, jewelry, the house, everything is made through pressure. And this is how I describe pressure on this. A quarterback gets the ball, he literally has about 2 seconds to survey everything that's going on and make the right decision with 3,000 pounds of flesh running at you. Correlate, put that into your own life. What's running at you?
You're standing in the back of the church at your own funeral. You're looking up at your own eulogy. Who's the person that's speaking the most important part of your life, and what are they saying about you?
That is a great question.
Tim Grover, welcome to the American Capitalist. One of the reasons I invited you here today is this continuing, growing obsession that I have with time. I hate when people waste my time. The biggest fear I think I have in life is running out of time. And when I started this podcast, there's tons of podcasts. And one of the things that, I was worried about, if I'm going to do this and someone's going to give me an hour or 10 minutes of their time, I want to make sure everyone I put in that seat, everything that I say is providing them value, because I understand the value of that hour that they're giving me here today. So the commitment I have to my audience today is you're going to get at least $100,000 worth of time today. I say that nominally because I know what you charge to speak. I know what I charge to speak. So they're going to get at least that. But I think more importantly, people are going to take this information, they're going to execute on their business, monetize it. It's going to be hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. And for the most elite people out there that listen to my podcast, I think it's going to be priceless, because one of the problems I had for a really long period of time was giving away my time for free, not valuing my time for free. And I wish I could get it all back, but I can't, obviously. And for a long, long period of time, you worked with one of the greatest human beings I know. He used to attend the church that my daughter went to school at. I'm talking about Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm. I know you had a friendship with him, obviously a professional relationship, and tragically, Kobe ran out of time. Working with him, how did you prioritize time, the importance of that, and what did you learn losing Kobe about time yourself?
You don't realize how much time an individual has, because it's really not in your control. It is really not in your control. So, like I said, every moment I saw him, my expression to him was, we don't have time. And what I meant with that is, like, you're going to have my ultimate focus. I need your ultimate focus. Because when you give somebody, it's easy to give somebody your time, but it's very difficult to give somebody your focus. And when you give somebody your focus, you actually create more time, because you get more things done in that time. So when I said, we don't have time, meant like, I'm not interested in your time. I need your focus. I don't care what else is going on in your life. For the next 90 minutes that we're together, it's us. It's us. I need you to be in this moment, because we cannot fully capture the next moment of time unless we maximize this current moment of time. And the only way to capture the maximum amount of time is through focus.
Losing Kobe, did that give you, I don't know the relationship, but I'm assuming it was a pretty great personal relationship also.
It was very close. And, you know, it's funny that you brought this up is we're sitting in here talking about Kobe, and I spent a lot of moments with him, a lot of times with him. And there's individuals out there now where Kobe can't speak for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all these stories that are coming out and people are saying this about him, whether it's positive or negative. And there's less than a handful of people that actually know the truth. And I have to bite my tongue a lot of times not to speak against those things. Or people have had Kobe on a podcast for 90 minutes or an hour, and all of a sudden they think they're an expert on his mentality and his life and everything. You have no clue. They have no idea of who that man really was. There was media Kobe, there was podcast Kobe, and then there was the Kobe. Totally different individuals.
You know, I think obviously people know who you are, the greats that you work with, but I want to stick with Kobe because I think he was a very, very unique individual. The work ethic, and I obviously didn't know him personally. I'm asking you because you did. What were some of the keys, the greatness out of all the people that you work with about Kobe? What was one of the one main differentiator that you saw in him?
His level and attention to detail and obsession was like none other. He got up every single morning understanding that I want and I need to get better. It was like his ultimate focus. Like I need and I want to get better. Everybody says it, but do you actually live the lifestyle? You know, and everybody talks about, you know, mama mentality. It's not a mentality. It's a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a life. The mentality is easy. It's implementing it and making it into a lifestyle and having the individuals and the team around you that can allow you to live that lifestyle.
Mm.
That's the most difficult part, to put individuals who are just as effed up as you are, who are just as obsessed as you are. You know, people say, why do you work so hard for your clients? Because they work so hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
They work so hard for me. So I have to not only match their focus, match their obsession, I have to go beyond because I know they're going to go beyond. We would go training sessions weeks and never speak. We would never speak. He knew what was expected, what I needed from him. I knew what he needed from me. And we didn't have to speak. Point the exercise, this is what we're going to do, move there, because I know he was in the zone. And sometimes when you speak, you take an individual out of the zone. Their voice is the only one they're hearing right now. He doesn't need to hear anybody else's voice. And many times we worked out in a public environment because I looked at it this way, is he's not playing in an empty gym. All right. So why should he always train in an isolated area? I need people to try to distract him. I need people walking by and yelling out, "Hey, Kobe, can we get an hug? Can I get a da-da?" That's part of the training. Because you'll see a lot of individuals, celebrities, athletes, whatever you want to call them, they get distracted by that moment. You could see them get out of the zone, or you can see them lose. You can see them lose their focus, and not everybody's going to have something nice to say when you're in the middle of your investors meeting, or doing your research, all right, and somebody comes by and wants your focus, and you kind of not, they don't take kindly to that.
Mm-hmm.
They think you're the biggest, what it is, all right, and they get up. Well, are you going to allow their upset mentality to affect your ability to perform at the highest level?
I think that's one of the things a lot of my listeners and clients are dealing with is in the search for excellence, being the greatest version of themselves. You talk about ultimately becoming a villain in somebody's story.
So here's the thing about, becoming the better version of yourself. See, in order to become the better version of yourself, you literally have to kill off your original version. Because if it lingers around, it's going to find you again. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing people don't understand. They're like, I'm looking for the better version of myself. But in order to have the better version of yourself, you have to have a funeral for your old version. Mm. Otherwise, that old version is going to rise back into and try to pull you back. That's why people can never really get to the level of a better version of themselves, because they don't want to truly kill off that old version. There's parts of that old version you remember the time, and it's like people talk about good old days. Mm-hmm. So that old version had some of the good old days. I'm like, don't talk to me about the good old days. I'm trying to create new days, new moments, constantly. If you're constantly talking about the good old times, that means you're stuck. You're stuck with that person that you did not want to kill off. And I know it sounds harsh, but that's what you have to do.
It's a great point, though. You're saying that, and I'm thinking when I was going through college, I worked with juvenile delinquents, trying to rehabilitate them. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you're trying to get them to be a completely different version of themselves. And we would take a lot of them out of DC, Southern California, really bad areas at the time. We bring them out to a ranch in Arizona, and you would see literally this kid become a new kid in 6-12 months. However, the parents would come for a visitation, and you'd see, okay, this is why. Or they'd go back into the same environment, and the success rate was almost zero. However, we were able to get some of those kids scholarships to go and play football or soccer out of college and school. Those are the only ones that would ever be successful. So I've seen exactly what you're saying.
And part of being able to be the better version of yourself is you got to kill off the old version, which also requires you to delete a lot of, there's a lot of individuals, like you said, they're like, I can't go home. Mm-hmm. Because they know that old version, remnants of that old version is still there. Mm. The wounds are still part of being there. What I talked about is like, listen, there's time heals those wounds, but those scars are still whispering, and they become louder and louder and louder when you go back to that environment. They go back to that old environment, and those scars start to speak a little bit louder or louder. They say, hey, come back to us. We miss you. Come back. Okay. Even though you may have killed off the old version of yourself, the voices are still around. Mm-hmm. The spirits and ghosts are still there. Mm-hmm. We all have those in our past. Mm-hmm. We all have those in the past. And I always say, I said, stop worrying about the ghosts that don't exist and deal with the ones that actually do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. When you think about alcoholism, for example, and people who are alcoholics, you can't just have a little drink every once in a while.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You know, and we're all addicted to something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We all have an addiction to something. There's not a successful individual I know at the highest level that doesn't have an addiction. What you have to do is, and I would say, we're all addicts. What you have to do is you have to trade one addiction for another.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna ask you that because it sounds great, leave it behind, all these things. And I know what you do. I know some of it obviously with athletes is physical, but probably the greater impact is from the mental, psychological tools that you're giving people to elevate themselves.
Look at your business.
Mm-hmm.
You become successful. It's all mental. You watch interviews of greatest athletes, greatest business people, all the other stuff. Yeah, they talk about their hard work and all that, but they always talk about what they had to do up here, what they have to do up here in order to be the best. Yeah, listen, you're talented at what you do. Right? Athletes are talented at what they do. Your wife is talented at what she does. All right? That talent is a gift, but it's not a promise. It's not a promise. The promise comes from what are you willing to put in here, the work that you're going to do, the focus you're going to do, the research that you're going to do. Do you believe the words that you actually speak? Is there validity behind it? Is it just a bunch of BS, which is very captivating now to individuals because the BS teaches you the shortest route. And if you don't have the mental fortitude to know the difference between somebody that's just kind of out there, especially in your line of work. I read something where I forgot the exact number. You probably know more than this. There's like maybe 17 or 1,800, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, please, billionaires in the world.
I think there's a little bit less than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I
so
think
let's
about 800 or something.
Okay,
like that.
800 billionaires in the world.
Yeah.
Among 8 billion.
I might be wrong.
Well,
too,
somewhere.
It's
less than 2,000.
It's very few.
Okay, it's less than 2,000.
Yeah.
Okay. How many people portray to be billionaires on social media?
You think they all are?
Everything. And what do I always say about the most successful people? Okay. And I know a lot of your friends are going to be upset about what I'm going to say, but you never see Jeff. You never see Elon. You never see Zuckerberg. They don't show their houses. Mm-hmm. They don't show their cars. Mm-hmm. They don't show their timepieces. They don't show their yachts. Other people do.
Right.
Okay. One of my clients was just at the Ryder Cup. Okay. He wore a very, very nice timepiece.
Right.
Very nice.
Sure.
All right. Now, he wasn't sitting in front of the camera doing like this.
Yeah, that's a famous shot these days on Instagram.
You know, like everybody's got he's just going about his business.
Well, and I think that's kind of a tell, right, for everyone who's trying to look at social media and ascertain whether is this person real or not. They don't have to do that because they have something of much greater value to be able to offer other than $100,000. I'm sure this is a much more than $100,000 watch that you're talking about. So let's talk about this. You know, you said you had to kill off the old person. I also heard you speak and say that you have to kill off good to go to great.
I'm going to use your personal life as an example of this, if you don't mind. You guys can edit this later if you.
we don't do much editing
if you choose.
Yeah.
Okay? You shared something very personal with us yesterday, saying this is your second marriage.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I never met your first wife.
Right.
Okay? I don't know her. I know nothing about her, okay? But I know you. We've got a chance to spend some time together.
Yep.
I know your wife.
My wife's off camera right here.
Right. Okay. You let go of good to ascertain something great.
Yeah, I did.
Even in your business, in your personal space.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know how many individuals will accept that for 30 years, for the rest of their lives, and will just say, you know what, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
You know, for me, Tim, personally, and I'm not sure what you think about this, but the truth is that, you know, I look at wasted potential being one of the greatest sins, right? Because I look around, I've been to other countries, like, you know, you talk, I grew up poor in terms of US standards, but I've spent time in India where people don't have running water. So I know what poverty really is. So for me, there's no excuse whatsoever. Part of my fear of running out of time is I don't get to accomplish all the things that I do. And so I want to talk a little bit about that because of that mentality, that's not for everyone. That doesn't work for everyone.
It is not. It's not. It's for a very, very small percentage. It's you tell them what the forget. It's like when people go to a theme park. Okay, you have to pay an entrance fee. Okay, most people are afraid of even the entrance fee of being great because they don't even know what it is. They don't even know what it is, and they say, "Yeah, I can do that." There's a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers to that. There's a lot of layers to that.
Well, and I could tell you, yeah, having gone through divorce myself, having worked with other very high net worth people that have gone through it, the partner that you choose is so important because they have to understand and identify what it is. I heard you say, we were talking yesterday, you're at an event of mine.
Which was a great event, by the way.
Thank you.
What an awesome event. Listen, a little plug here. If he does the event again, you should attend. That's all. You should attend.
Thank you. My wife, that was all my wife. What I want to really get into now is people who are leaving the person behind, working on being this new best version of themselves. The people around you are so important.
So the first thing they got to do is they got to stop trying. You got to make the decision, say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I always say, I hate when people say, try your best. Because when you try your best, you give yourself an out. You give yourself an out. You say, man, I tried my best. Don't try your best. Do your best. I have an issue with individuals failing if they tried their best. I have no issue with an individual failing if you did your best. And I can look at you, I can look at your effort, I can look at your focus, I can look at everything you did, and I say, you know what, that individual, they did their best, they just did not get the result. All right. But when you try your best, there's a little, you know that person is not engaged in it all the way.
Yeah, you were, and you talked. I mean, since we're on it, let's go back to my wife. You know, you're saying so. You know, I went through. I was actually, since it's out there, right now, I got married when I was 19 in college. I was married for 25 years, and so I was a much different person 5 years later, 10 years later, and ultimately, when you said you have to give up something. I don't know, good to go to great. It wasn't an easy decision. There's a big financial commitment when you go through divorce. There's a toll. I had a daughter that I knew her life was going to be impacted by it. But this whole idea of also time and focus, right? I would say, I won't even say arguably, I hands down now have a better relationship with my daughter after that divorce. Because yeah, there was a lot more time there. But when I spend time with my daughter now, there's focus. And what's your idea of the difference between time and focus?
Well, Time is about everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Focus is about you. Focus is about you. You choose what you want to be focused on, how you want to be focused on, where you want to be focused on. And when you're focused on something, you are 100% physically and mentally present in that moment. Otherwise, you're not focused.
Mm-hmm.
You're not, okay, you said, obviously, you're a college graduate, all right? Very important in your business. We've put off things, and all of a sudden an exam came up or a paper came up or something, and like, oh shoot, I gotta really focus on this thing.
Yeah.
And what an excellent piece of literature you wrote, you created, you passed a test or so forth. Why? Because you were totally focused on everything that mattered. You didn't look at, I only have an hour, I only have 2 days, I only have this. I need to focus on this right now. All other you literally like, okay, time blocks people out. Focus blocks the world out. It blocks the world out. What are the greatest athletes? What do they have the ability to do? When they focus, they don't pay attention to the crowd. They don't care about the lights. You hear this all, man, I perform best under the bright lights. Well, you should know if the lights are pink, blue, purple.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not you're there, but you're not focused.
You hear athletes sometimes, I've worked with a lot of boxers, I work with NFL players, that they elevate their performance to the level of competition that they're facing. The few boxers that I've heard say that never really got to the highest level. Where I'm working with one younger kid right now, ranked one of the top 3 pound for pound in the world. He never overlooks the next person. He's actually almost more afraid of the person you don't know a lot about, people that are overlooking, because of that potential that there's not enough knowledge about them. Have you seen that with?
Yeah, there's like, listen, great achievers, they don't prepare, they over-prepare. Mm-hmm. They don't overthink, they over-prepare.
What's the difference between?
All right, so overthinking is you're preparing for the wrong things. Mm-hmm. And overthinking is the art of creating problems that don't exist. Over-preparation is not thinking about the things that don't exist. All right, they don't deal with the what if. All right, because they've over-prepared. There is no what if. Mm. There is no what if. They pivot, they adjust to whatever's needed. A player's not going to be available. This is going to happen. This is what's going to go on. The lights aren't. The weather's going to do this. They're over-prepared for every possible circumstances that's out there. You look at the top NFL quarterbacks in history, okay? You've dealt with NFL players. You've seen their playbooks. Mm-hmm. They're like this big. Yeah. Okay? They're not like pamphlets. Right. They're like...
It's a lot to memorize.
They're a lot. It's a lot to memorize. Yeah. They're not cranking those things out in like we know individuals that crank out books in a week. Yeah. All right. They're like this thing. All right. The best quarterbacks know the playbooks of every other team inside and out. Inside and out. So not only have they studied their playbook, they've studied their opponent's playbook, the next opponent, here, the team they might be meeting in the Super Bowl, which is completely in the other division. That's over preparation. Okay. But they're not thinking about that, in the book we write done next. All right. And we always say create the end result so the work is irrelevant. But everybody gets confused about craving the end result. It's not the championship. It's not the end of the year report. It's the now. It's the next game. It's the next moment. When that's done, then there's a next. Then when that's done, there's another next. So you crave the end result, so the work is irrelevant. So your craving of the end result is what's in front of you now. Then you move, then you crave the end result of what's next is now. Now. It's not the focus in on like the plan is like we're going to go win the championship. So going back to Kobe, all right, he wouldn't break the game down in, some people break it down in quarters, some people break it down in halves, other people taking it. He dissected it minute by minute, like literally minute by minute.
How much time did he spend just watching himself play and other footage of himself?
An enormous amount of time. Not looking at the things he did right, the things he needed to get better on, the things that he made mistakes on. You know, he actually had an individual that I brought on board that would literally break his film down for him to give him the advantage of say, hey, this is the opponent you have next. These are their strengths. These are their weaknesses. This is how they play you. This is how you played them last game. Every little detail out there, no different than in your business. When you dissect a company and you're going to go out there and say, hey, you're going to put your reputation down and say, I've done my homework on this. Mm-hmm. I've done my research. I've talked to people. This is a good investment, or this is a great investment for you. Mm-hmm. No different. That's your battlefield. That's your basketball court. That's your football field. That's your playbooks. The people you have to talk to. You know, you have to know the company that you're recommending, who they're competing against, what they're doing, what their playbook is, what their strategy is. Mm-hmm. You don't go out and sell your company that you sold, I don't know how many years ago, for the number. I'm not going to share the number. Mm-hmm. If you want to share that, that's fine. That's fine. For that amount of money, if you didn't pay attention to every little detail there about it, like everything, something that people don't pay attention to, they're like, yeah, I need to pay it. I need to pay it. Why are they not paying attention to this? Mm-hmm. Why are they not paying attention to this? Mm-hmm. All right, and that's what Kobe did. Like he didn't overthink it. He over-prepared for every situation that was going to come his way. And he knew in the minute, this is like the substitution patterns on the other team. You go to different arenas. There's a story out there, and you know everything I say, you can pull it up. It's out there. He was shooting around somewhere, and he was like, he kept, his shot was a little bit off in warmups, and he came and he called the people. I goes, hey man, the rim on this basket isn't right. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, it's right. He goes, no, I want you to measure it. It was an eighth of an inch off. Mm-hmm. An eighth of an inch. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, me personally, we've all taken navigation stuff. If you've ever taken Google Maps or you've taken Waze or whatever it is, and they tell you turn left 800 feet, I've lost my ability to know how in the hell 800 feet is. He could tell that the rim was an eighth of an inch off.
But isn't that the difference at the highest level? And I'll look at, I worked with an NFL offensive lineman. It's all public. Levi Brown, he signed a $62 million contract with the NFL Cardinals. He was a first round draft pick, I think number 4 in 2008. And offensive lineman, obviously playing at the highest level, he tore his tricep. He came back, he was healed, but the psychological impact of knowing he couldn't just push as hard as it, that was kind of the end of his career. It's really isn't really the second and every little detail at that level, because everyone's great at that level.
And I've dealt with, I've probably helped in rehab process of, I don't know, countless numbers of professional athletes. And it's easy to physically put them back together again. Yeah. That's the easy part. And I always tell them, you're not healed yet. I said, there will be a play either in practice or in the game that you'll be forced to make. And if you back away from there, you're not healed. When you can no longer, because you're overthinking. When it takes years and years of thinking not to be able to think.
It's true.
Yeah. It takes years and years of thinking not to be able to think. And in professional sports, you see coaches grab an athlete all the time. Man, just go out there and play. Don't think. Well, if you tell somebody don't think, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to think.
Yeah.
They're going to think. I travel, and I have to go through, those sometimes you have to go through those, whatever those machines are that turn around. I know my pockets are empty. But the TSA person will go, "Are your pockets empty?" And I'm like, you check. You check again.
Doubt yourself.
You know they're empty.
Yeah.
You know they're empty. That's the same thing with, like, tell someone, don't think. Well, they're going to automatic because they haven't had enough time, enough focus in thinking to put them in a state where you don't think.
So talking about, these people that are playing at the highest level, I work with people financially primarily.
That play at the highest level. And obviously they're working with me at the highest level. They've already been under what most people would consider extremely successful. They made millions of dollars, and they're coming to me to, in your words, elevate their performance. And the way I do that is very specifically through my experience in financially engineering, reducing taxes, and all of these things, obviously, that they don't have the ability to get to that next level. That's not what they focused on. I've heard you say with athletes, the best of the best that you work with, you're standing on the sideline, let's call it an NFL player. He comes off the sideline. You're ready to tell him what he did wrong. He already knew what he did wrong. So how do you, when you're working with people who already knew what they did wrong, when you're working with Kobe, you don't have to tell him to be there for shooting free throw shots when he's one of the best free throw shooters what tools are you using to elevate them? And what does elevation mean to you? Well, elevation means, to me, it means engineering your life in every facet, not to chase your dreams, to be able to catch them. All right. Motivated individuals chase. Elevated individuals catch.
I heard you say the motivation, I heard you say this yesterday, it's addictive. It's like a quick fix. And I think I don't want to pick on Tony Robbins. I don't know him, but what little I've watched of him, the thousands of people that he has in his audience.
Millions.
Millions.
Yes.
Millions of people. To me, that says there's a lot of very average, mediocre people out there, because if you can't get up motivated yourself, I don't know where you go from there.
The way I identify myself, motivated speakers that motivate you. And there's a lot of people that, and they're excellent at it. I'm not taking anything away from them. I've never had my top athletes, I've never had to motivate them. I've never had to motivate
Same in finance. I'm not motivating them to make more money.
Right. Okay. There you go. Yeah. All right. There's a different line. I'm not here to make you feel better. I gave a talk to your audience yesterday. I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm here to make you do better.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a huge difference. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you and I are aligned the same way. All right. I'm about to take your money. I'm not going to make you feel. I'm going to make this money do better
Mm-hmm.
for you.
Mm-hmm.
You want to feel better? Go get a CD. Go put it in the bank. Go. Obviously, I don't know your industry.
Yeah.
Go do that. So with your top athletes, the one thing they're always capable of, they're the most coachable individuals out there. Look at the people you've made the most money for. Save them.
1,000%.
You tell them something, Bob, great. You explain it to them. Here's what it da. And some of them might will just say, just make the decision for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They trust you they trust you that much.
Yeah.
There's no combativeness. There's nothing. Here, I've seen your results. I've seen what you do. We know you're not cooking the books. This is not a Ponzi scheme. All right, we've done our deal. Go do what you go do it. Go do what you have to do. It's easy when your old business. All right, when you were trying to, make this accessible to,
Masses.
That's a good word. Thank you.
And it was, I'll tell you, it was a good trial too, Tim, because, as you know, I had a non-compete in my old business. So worked with highly successful, highly wealthy people, figured the world wants to be just like them. So I had this cool off period where I really couldn't do anything.
Right.
So I tested that theory.
Perfect time to test it.
Turns out people don't really want to be. When they find out what it takes, they don't want to pay for it in any way.
Right.
Physically, mentally, monetarily, they just want it.
They've been brought up that way too. It's just there's a scarcity. They talk about a scarcity mindset. There's also a scarcity lifestyle.
Right.
I just say, how many individuals do we know are dying from safety?
A lot.
From safety. And they look at all these other people and they look at all these things and they be like, wow, well, what are those people? They took a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They risked something. And people are just, there's this mindset of just, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good here. And there's, what? I say there's nothing wrong with that. And like you said, this isn't for everybody.
Right.
Listen, some days I wake up and I think about, I'm like, man, this is always a short moment. I haven't had this in a while. I've always had this in a while. You get up, you have a car note, you have a rent or a mortgage, you go to a job that gets you a paycheck every 2 weeks. You got health insurance. You got medical insurance. You got whatever you need. You got a 401. You got a 401k. You get to watch the game every single Monday night. Your hours are set, so forth, and you get to go hang out with your buddies. You get to go to whatever chain restaurant you want to go to, and they're like, that's the lifestyle they chose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I snap out of it. I'm like, no way.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference, right?
Yeah,
I've had it too. There's times where I look and like, man, that'd be nice. And then you look at, and you say that pressure is a privilege.
Yes.
Talk about that for a second.
It is. Listen, everything that we have on, the diamonds, the watches, the jewelries, the house, everything is made through pressure. Everything is made through pressure. Mm-hmm. All right. And if somebody puts you in listen, when somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I have $5 million in my portfolio, double it. And you're like, yeah.
Bring it.
Bring it. Bring it. You don't go to yourself and say, man, how am I going to do it? Yeah, I got it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got it. Yeah. Put the plan together. I'm going to execute it, so forth. right? There's a pressure that they've just put on you to deliver this thing, and you thrive on that stuff. It elevates you even more. It elevates you even more to do that for all your individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a privilege that people earn. Like, everybody wants to sit in that seat until they have to sit in that seat, until they have to make those decisions, until they have to deal with the consequences.
Mm.
Right? You know, we're in football season now, and everybody, oh man, this quarterback sucks, and this person does this, and yet all this sitting in there. They may suck against other NFL quarterbacks.
Right.
All right, but let me tell you something. All right, and this is how I describe pressure on this. A quarterback gets the ball, he takes his drop back. He literally has about 2 seconds, maybe slightly over, to survey everything that's going on. Everything that's going on, and make the right decision. With 3,000 pounds of flesh running at you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Put that into your own life.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's running at you constantly that you haven't dealt with in the past? All right. That's not allowing you to handle pressure. It's allowing you to run, that is causing you to run away from pressure instead of running towards it.
Working with these people at the highest level, I think you are in a position, you might not even realize it right now, of what you do for athletes, I think is going to become exponentially more important in the business world. And let me tell you why. I consult with a lot of startup businesses, successful businesses that are trying to break through to the next level. Artificial intelligence is impacting everything. The way pharmaceuticals are made, the way businesses are run, every single thing is being impacted by it. Zuckerberg just talked about building his new AI business, which will be a multi-trillion-dollar business with 50 to 100 people, flat organizations. But the difference is now the people that they are hiring are the best of the best of the best. The ability for mediocrity is not going to be there anymore. And so we talk about this concept of time, and I tell people a bad hire can cost you your business. What tools are understanding and working with the greatest of the great? I'm assuming that you can tell pretty quickly if someone has the potential to be where they need to be or say they're going to be. Is there things you can see in an individual right away? And if you're a CEO looking to hire somebody, are there warning signs, flags? Is there a framework that you use to be able to determine, is this a person I'm going to work with or I'm going to take a pass on?
The question I always ask them is one of the things I asked about yesterday in talk. I said, what are you afraid of?
Mm-hmm.
See, everyone wants to talk. It's easy to talk about what you're great at.
It's a great question.
All right. What are you afraid of? What are your weaknesses? I can't trust an individual that won't tell me I don't have any weaknesses. Everybody's got a weakness. Now, you have the ability to work on that weakness and no longer make it your weakness, but everybody has a weakness. I cannot trust an individual who doesn't have the ability to be vulnerable in a hiring situation. I want to know your flaws.
Mm-hmm.
What are your flaws? What are your weaknesses? What are you afraid of? Now, if they can't answer those questions, all right, people don't have the ability to even, Rob, when you sit down and you interview somebody and you ask them, tell me about yourself. It's such a broad question
Mm-hmm.
that people are all
It's
over
almost
the
worthless
place.
question.
It's a worthless question.
Yeah.
And if you have that, I want to know certain things about you. Here it is. You want to tell somebody about yourself, here are 3 to 5 things I want you to know about me. All right. And if all the things they always talk, it's like highlight reels. You see these coaches put all together again and, you know, about their kids and so forth. And everything is about what the kid does great. All right.
Yeah.
there's industries now you see, basketball trainers, all they do is post when their player does well.
Mm-hmm.
When they don't do well, it's a ghost. They go out and they'll show a person going through a drill and the person's hit 50 out of 50 shots. NBA's been going on for a long time. I've never seen anybody hit 50 out of 50 shots in the game. It's not realistic.
Yeah.
It's not realistic. So that tells me you're not vulnerable. What are you hiding from?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because it's not going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. One that I've never asked. And like I said, it's going to become exponentially more important that you're hiring the right people and you're spending the time to develop and, in your words, elevate those people. I'd rather hire one person, pay 10 times the cost of 20 different people and continually invest in that person. And, so part of the reason I do this podcast and where it's really gone to is I'm bringing on people and asking the questions that I want to know myself.
And you should.
and what I've found is the audience that I really wants to know those same questions. And
there you go.
One thing I've always wondered is, motivation isn't there. I'm always wondering in my own personal life, what do I need things, what points should people be pushing on me to extend me further than I am? Because no one could be harder on me than I can myself. I'm 100% certain of that.
Nobody needs that. Then you don't need anybody else, because that's what I said. You're not trying to prove anybody else wrong. You're trying to prove yourself right.
Wait, let me ask you, so there's another question I wanted to ask you, and we're getting close on time, but so you said don't waste your time trying to prove people wrong. I 1,000% agree with that. What about trying to prove people right?
So here's the thing. When you try to prove people wrong, that's your ego talking.
Right.
Man, I got to prove it. No.
Right.
When you prove yourself right, that's your confidence.
So I feel like myself, I'm always trying to prove, myself right, but also other people who bet on me.
Yes, you're trying to but I'm saying, but you prove yourself right. When you prove yourself right, they know, like, I made the right. You know what? This was a really good bet.
Yeah, you're right.
This was a real. This was
so to say that I'm not influenced by other people, I think is bullshit. Because I want people bet on me. I want their approval. I want them to feel like they made the right decision.
Yes,
I spent a lot of my life.
Listen, everybody is influenced. People talk about, man, I block the world out. I don't care what anybody else says about me. That's impossible.
Right.
Everybody in here is being judged. I always say, I don't judge people, but I'm curious.
Right.
All right. I'm curious. There's a huge difference between when I see somebody, I don't judge them. I'm curious. Like, why did they do that way? Why do they think that? Why do they think that way? All right. That's how you learn. Learn from being. You don't learn from judging. You learn from being curious, from being interested. When I see somebody dress a certain way or speak a certain way or do, I would just say, interesting. Interesting. Unless I get to have a conversation with that individual and really dive deeply into why this is a path they chose, why am I going to judge that? Why am I going to judge? Judgment is for the weak. Judgment is not about that individual. It's about themselves. It's about themselves. And that's why people don't like to see other people win, because it exposes them.
So I love to see people win. I can genuinely say
right.
Love it.
But that's what winners do. That's what winners do. They help other people win. But most people, the ones that don't, the ones that are constantly judging, when you start winning, what happens? You create separation, you create distance. All right. So now what happens is their habits, their disciplines, their emotions, their inability to focus, their inability to manage time, their ability to not use their mind, all that stuff comes to light in their own head.
Well, who do you go to for elevation? Who elevates Tim Grover?
Listen, I have this saying, every single morning, if I can open up my eyes and I can put my feet on the ground, it's a great day.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is up to me. I sit at the edge of the bed every single morning for 30 seconds because it's the only peace I'm going to get. And I have to enjoy that peace because I know the minute I stand up, all right, there's going to be, I don't look at it. There's not problems I have to solve. There's situations I have to deal with.
Mm.
I don't let things become a problem. There's situations. I always say, people come, man, we got a problem. No, we don't. We have a situation. We have a situation that needs to be managed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That needs to be managed. So I put pressure. There's very few people I can talk. I literally call. So it's funny. Everybody knows my business partner and agent. I have no idea what's going on in the world at times. And I literally call her and I said, all right, I got 5 minutes. Tell me what happened.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on in the world?
Mm-hmm.
All right, because unfortunately, I have to focus in on the business of performance with my athletes and clients and so forth. So that's my world.
Mm-hmm.
That's my world. But I need somebody else who's selfish for me.
Right.
Tell me, hey,
That's a good point. Selfish for you. I've heard you say that.
Yeah,
before.
this is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is done. And we don't agree on everything. You know, she would tell me something, I'll be like, yes, and she'd be like, silence on the other end. And eventually, I will later on in that day or catch some news. But I can't let the world distract me from the individuals and the people that rely on me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't. And the world is designed. Platforms are designed for distraction,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what gets people talking. That's what people want. They want it. They want an escape. But they're escaping from the things that they have to deal with, and that's not an escape. That's a trap.
Mm-hmm. In closing, I always ask my guests a very similar question, not always the same question. Today, I'm going to kind of use one of your own questions or something you did yesterday at our event. You're standing in the back of the church at your own funeral. You're looking up at your own eulogy. Who's the person that's speaking the most important part in your life, and what are they saying about you?
That is a great question.
Or persons.
Whoever that may be, he gave everything he had. He gave everything he had to everybody he touched. Yeah. And he made a difference. Yeah. But I'm looking at it, I don't want people look at, they look at their legacy. People always say, man, I want to leave a legacy. A legacy isn't about when you pass. Okay? You can create a living legacy. There's people on this earth now that are still alive, that are icons at what they do. So the same thing I want them to say when I'm gone, I want to hear it now. I want to be able to enjoy that moment. You know, I don't want people to say great things about me when I'm gone, when I can't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear those words uttered out of people's mouths now.
I think that's a great perspective.
Yeah.
I think we'll leave it there.
All right.
Thanks, Tim.
My pleasure.
All right,
Thank you.